I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right, he was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
couldn't
not
find
right,
them before
and
the
I was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not.
Oh my God, Cenk, shut the hell up. This is the dumb assness that I'm talking about. I don't give two fucks about his predictions or his keys. I mean, people are gonna be wrong. People are gonna be right. Congratulations, okay? But the whole thing is, we all lost, Cenk. So what high horse are you trying to ride here? Because last time I remember, you lost your race too. Okay, so if anything, you ain't got no keys to hang on your ego right now. Pimpin'. All right, so this is a real question, okay? Because after watching this show, I'm starting to think this shit is planned. Like, this has to be scripted, okay? Because I have never, and you know, I might disagree on like a few things when it comes to Cenk and TYT. Okay, I get it. But the shit that he did on this show was embarrassing. Like, everything that was coming out of his mouth was irking me. Like, I was seriously like, dude, can you shut up? Can you have a productive conversation? Because right now, you're wasting people's time with whatever nonsense that you keep rambling about. Just shut up and let other people talk. Because obviously you have nothing productive to say. And it's embarrassing. You know, and I really think a lot of people just get so hung up on things that don't matter, especially when it's Democrats talking amongst each other to try to figure out what the hell went wrong. Okay, Trump won by a landslide. Like, we need to figure that shit out. Okay, I get it. And when you're on his show, you know he's going to try to agitate the situation. But you falling for it doesn't do anyone any good in trying to have a productive conversation. All right, let's get into it.
Before. In addition to the usual sources of disinformation, we had a huge change this time. A 300 billionaire, a guy who's richer than most countries of the world, who controls X, spreading vast disinformation.
Which he did.
According to reports, billions upon billions of viewers saw his disinformation. People have a completely distorted view of the economy.
What was the disinformation?
Inflation is going up.
Let me pin you down on that, though. You say Elon Musk was spreading disinformation. Like what?
Yes. He is spreading vast disinformation that's sunk in. Even people who think their own financial situation is pretty good think inflation is going up when it's been cut by 75%, that unemployment
but it's still
is
inflation.
a near high when it's
still inflation,
near
Professor.
a low.
On that point, see, that's interesting. You would say that's disinformation, but the point is that inflation is still not zero. Therefore, prices are still going up. Therefore, people...
The only way you get inflation to zero is with a recession.
Yeah, but here's my point.
Obviously.
Here's my point. Yeah, but here's my point.
No, Morgan, Pierce, Morgan. That's not the conversation. Republicans were saying inflation is sky high. Inflation is increasing before your very eyes. And the data statistically showed different. That's misinformation. If I told you right now in Denver, Colorado, right now, it's cold outside and it's dark. And you know, if I could show you it, that's the conditions right now. But if I told you while you're looking out my window and I purposely told you it is sunny and hot as hell right now outside, you will either look at me like you're lying or you will look at me like, can you shut the hell up? You lying. So that's the misinformation. If inflation went down from 8% in 2021 and it's down under 3% right now, that's called there you go, a decrease, not an increase. Whoever's telling you that is lying, Pierce, but okay, got you.
Democrats kept telling the American people rather arrogantly, I thought, the economy's in really good shape. Meanwhile, inflation still exists. In other words, prices have continued to go up and up and up, albeit not at the same rate they were going up.
Jesus Christ.
But if it wasn't zero, and it wasn't, it was like 2.5% or whatever by the end, that is still inflation. So it's not disinformation to say
The only way
Americans are
you
still
get it to
suffering inflation.
zero is a recession, is deflation. That's ridiculous. Inflation has been cut by 80%, but it's not just inflation that people are wrong about.
But do you accept
It's
inflation
every
means prices are
aspect
still
of the
going
economy.
up? Do you accept prices were still going up?
Of course.
Right, so
They
that's the
always
point.
do, unless
But
you
so
have
it's
a
not
recession.
That's not disinformation,
That's ridiculous.
then, is it?
But the price of eggs, and I looked this up a few months ago when this was, I mean, it's, for some reason, it's still a conversation, but I looked up, nationally, gas prices, food prices, eggs, bread, like you can look that up. It takes a lot of looking, but you can look that up, and it has went down. It's not down to where everyone wants it, and unfortunately, it's not going to go down back in like, the 70s and 60s where, gas was like 99 cents or something. Unfortunately, it's not going to get that low. So if you think gas needs to get that low, I mean, you're kind of stupid. You must be brand new to America. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, these corporations, they have a say-so on how the prices are, not just Joe Biden or even Trump. That's not how inflation works. Joe Biden just doesn't sit in his office and hit the up button like, I want inflation to go up. He just keeps hitting the button. That's not how that works. You have to talk to the corporations too. But okay, whatever. Okay, let's continue, man.
By Elon Musk,
And it's
that isn't
disinformation about every other aspect of the economy as well. Disinformation about undocumented immigrants, like they're bloodthirsty killers. They are the most law-abiding segment of our society. According to numerous studies, including by the Libertarian Cato Institute, they commit crimes, including violent crimes, less than half of that of Native Americans. And they don't drain our economy. They are the mainstay of the agricultural, construction, personal service, hospitality industries. Studies show you will drive the economy into a recession if you go through large-scale deportation of immigrants, and you will sweep huge numbers of U.S. citizens because all the databases used to identify undocumented immigrants are fundamentally flawed. You can't have a pragmatic electorate under these conditions, and the mainstream media is utterly feeble. It spends 20 times more time on meaningless polls within the margin of...
Why? Why is this idiot shaking his head no? What is he saying that's not easily proven by a couple of Google searches away? Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is up his ass right now? Because he's demonstrated, he could be annoying. And it's like, okay, bro, okay, got you. Hey, but when you're this dumb, that's what confuses me. It's like he's not saying anything that isn't easily proven. Cenk? Holy shit.
Error than it does telling truth to power and indicating the consequences of this election.
But it is
it's
okay.
being taken over by billionaires.
Okay, I'm going to come to Cenk. I mean, Cenk, the biggest deporter in American presidential history was Barack Obama, who deported over 3 million people. This idea that Trump is going to become some outlier in terms.
No one is talking about deporting illegal immigrants, violent immigrants. That's not the conversation. Trump wants to get rid of every legal immigrant. Like the folks in Haiti, the ones that came under here legally. With the L, is that an L? Okay, where is it? Legally. He wants to get rid of those immigrants. That's the problem. Dude, we're not talking about deporting illegal, because that's not a conversation to be had, because sane people understand, like, hey, if you come here illegally, unfortunately, you got to go through the proper chains to become legal. And even that's a situation that needs to be reformed, obviously. But Trump wants to, I forgot the act, back in the 80s or 70s, he wants to reuse that act to get rid of legal immigrants. And that's where you get the 15 million immigrants. Oh my God, man, I swear this is scripted. It has to. People can't be this fucking stupid. They can't be. Holy Jesus Christ, help me if they are. Holy
There's a
man.
mass deportation. The great mass deporter was actually a Democrat president, Obama, by a long way, by the way. So this idea of like disinformation, I think some of it was disinformation, but it's, I think the idea that this election was only won through right-wing disinformation, I'm afraid, I view that as a total delusion by the Democrats. Again.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with Juan and Professor Lichtman. Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but Juan, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. Look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
couldn't
not
find
right,
them before
and
the
I was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not.
Oh my God, Cenk, shut the hell up. This is the dumb assness that I'm talking about. I don't give two fucks about his predictions or his keys. I mean, people are going to be wrong. People are going to be right. Congratulations, okay? But the whole thing is we all lost, Cenk. So what high horse are you trying to ride here? Because last time I remember, you lost your race too. Okay? So if anything, you ain't got no keys to hang on your ego right now. Pimpin'. So just shut up, bro. Stick to the topic and try to put some substance in that conversation. But we're going to hear 2-3 minutes of you talking about nothing that matters. Okay, get off that and put me in. Put me in, coach, because this guy obviously isn't ready to play. Okay, he didn't bring his gym shorts. He didn't bring his basketball shoes. He is not ready to perform, okay?
Be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You want to make your
You
point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make it
world of
personal.
denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so quiet with your personal attacks.
Come find out again.
Make whatever point you want. Don't
Look,
make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been
13
able
books.
to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again.
Hey, Cenk, answer the question. You don't start none, won't be none. That's simple. If you don't have the credentials to sit here and I don't know this gentleman like that. I just really found him out a few months ago when, talking about the keys, which is an interesting, philosophy, which is like, hey, whatever, however you want to make this thing work, baby. I'm not going to knock your hustle. Okay. I got it. But Cenk, Jesus Christ, man. Can you not? Once again, don't start none, won't be none. And he said he wrote 13 books. I ain't wrote no books. Have you wrote any books? Okay, let's leave it at that.
Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother,
personal
you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
Can I just say, it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
God, see, and now look at him. Look at that. Look at that face right here. He is happy. Okay, we are making fools of ourselves by arguing about some dumb ass keys, Cenk. Get over your feelings and focus. Damn, man, making us look bad, bro.
Manners.
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone...
my God, that was your... Did you work on that before the show? Did you need a tall glass of some shut up juice? Hey, Cenk, that was not. Hey, that did not hit the way you hoped it was, okay? Once again, you are embarrassing people. Quit. Just stop. Stop while you ahead, bruh, okay?
Someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierre. Okay? You're so right. We're so unified right now.
You want,
so
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy
your ego
against you? Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, you're blaming disinformation. There was disinformation. There was the cats and the dogs nonsense. The points you're making about undocumented immigrants, I agree with, Alan, okay? But that didn't cost the election. The main disinformation was about how the election was going to be rigged. And it wasn't rigged. It was dumb. They won easily. There was no need for that disinformation.
No, the misinformation played, in my perspective, my opinion, a huge part, like 60, 70% of it. Because if you hear why people voted for Trump, they would say the economy. And we say, what about the economy that made you worry that the Democrats couldn't do? And when you start digging into it, it's inflation, it's the high gas prices, or if it's immigration, immigration's taking our jobs, they're, committing all these crimes, they're coming by the millions every day. Like that's misinformation. That's not true information. So if they're thinking that and thinking that the Democratic Party are not responsible enough to knock down inflation and not really understanding just because the numbers are decreasing, it takes time for everything else to trickle down. Unfortunately, the shit doesn't turn overnight, okay? Like, I'm sorry, okay? But not explaining that to people will cause people to make the wrong decisions off of misinformation. Cenk, listen.
You guys are missing the whole point. The people who are at fault are not other people. It is the candidate, Kamala Harris, the previous candidate, Joe Biden, Democratic Party, Democratic leadership. You guys don't want to admit that they're the problem. They're the cancer.
All of them are the problem. Holy shit! Why can't it be more, factors to why the Republicans won and the Democrats lost? Holy shit, man! I wish somebody else on this panel would just point that out. Like, hey, guys, it's a little bit of all of it. It's some of the voters for not educating themselves and understanding what's true or what's not true. It's the Republican Party for pumping all that misinformation out by the troves of it every single day. I mean, hell, Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it into a propaganda machine. Holy shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's the Democratic Party's fault for not listening to the bare basic information that their voters wanted. They didn't listen and did what they thought was going to get them to win. So it's everybody's fault, baby. Like, just say that and move on.
In the Democratic Party. So you blindly lash out at the voters, at information, at social media, and you want to shut down anyone who disagrees with you. That's not the correct answer. There are three wings of the Democratic Party. There's the establishment wing that the great majority, almost everyone on television supports and kisses the ass of and does propaganda for. That wing has led to disaster. They lost to Donald Trump twice, nearly lost to him 3 times. And then the other wing is called the progressive wing, but those are two different sets of people. In the progressive, so-called progressive wing, what you have is the identitarian left, the people who do what the right wing would call woke politics and identity politics, and that is disastrous. That's what the trans ad was at the end, and it cost us. The most popular part of the Democratic Party is the populist left. That is the Bernie Sanders 2016 campaign. That part says, let's do super popular economic proposals like paid family leave, higher minimum wage, universal health care, public option. Let's do all of these things.
But you see, it took damn near 14 minutes for Cenk to get back to reality. Holy shit, man. Like, thank you for coming back to earth, okay? Congratulations.
And the establishment goes, no, our corporations don't want that. Our donors don't want that. So we'll just do identity politics. And maybe identity politics will unite the left. But it didn't. Identity politics led to disaster. It was a poison within the Democratic Party, used ironically by the establishment Democrats because they didn't want to talk about popular proposals that we have because their donors hate those proposals.
Okay, let me bring in Harry. Now, Harry, you tweeted or posted on X on November the 6th. Kamala Harris's speech was amazing. Graceful, strong, hit the right tone. She's a fantastic leader and a great role model. No idea how she lost to Trump. You're a bright young guy, Harry. I've interviewed you several times. Right? You know why she lost. And that speech, in a way, to me, was the perfect illustration. She basically said nothing. She talked about billions of stars and the moonlight and shining lights and all that. There was nothing there. There was no.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay. Once again, every critique, and I would put my last dollar on every single critique that individuals put on Harris. I guarantee 99.999%, Trump has failed at horribly. Every speech, every conversation Trump has, unless it's not scripted for him, he is going to sound incoherent as hell. He's going to literally sound like an old ass white man. So, Pierce, hey, you missed me with that. Okay, don't talk about Harris saying, talking about nothing and stars and the moon, while Trump is literally talking about the weave and how, like, people say that's so cool that he can, like, ramble about some weird stuff and then, like, somehow makes that make sense. No, brother, you're just rambling. You're not gonna brand rambling as something cool. I'm sorry, okay? But
meat on the bone, no substance. And that was her problem throughout the whole campaign. She had 100 days to show America, here's how I'm going to fix all your problems. Instead, she did the Hillary Clinton playbook. After promising us joy and sunshine, immediately pivoted to Trump's a Nazi, they're all fascists, they're all disgusting. And by the way, here are all my rich, famous entertainment friends who are all going to surround themselves on me on stages. Didn't work for Hillary, didn't work for Kamala. And at some point...
So you're telling me that I read 9 pages of her policies that she didn't talk about every freaking conversation? I mean, at a point, people were like, bro, we get it. You don't have to keep telling us about the family tax credit and what you want to do for new home buyers and what you want to do for business entrepreneurs. She was just repeating everything. And I read the entire 9-page plan, and you're telling me she didn't have a plan? That's that bullshit right there. That's that bullshit. Don't be like that. Don't be like that guy, okay, guys? Don't be like him.
Point, young guys like you who are the future of the Democrat Party, you've got to wake up and smell the cappuccino. You need a candidate that can resonate.
Okay.
I mean, Cenk's right. The Democrat candidate who has most resonated with the public was Bernie Sanders, right? You'd have done better with him running in this election. But you guys don't see it that way, do you?
Well, I think that since the election happened and sitting with it for a couple weeks, I know why Kamala Harris lost. I think that what I said was premature. And I think it's a combination of what all the gentlemen around me are saying. I think it's like a middle ground in life, which I think is often the case, which is I think Professor Lichtman is right that it was a lot of disinformation pushed by a lot of bad actors in the right wing. But I think that Cenk and the gentleman beside me from Fox...
Harry, there was disinformation from the left as well. When you keep calling him a Nazi...
But Piers, it's not to the same level. It's not to the same level.
When you keep calling Donald Trump a Nazi and a fascist and all these things, and his supporters, Nazi sympathizers... all that is total disinformation. Because he hasn't murdered 12 million people, and he's not going to. Well, and by the way, you all know that. So the disinformation is on both sides.
I disagree. I disagree with calling Donald Trump a Nazi or calling him Hitler. But I want to be clear that it was his own former advisors who called him that and likened him to Hitler.
It was his own vice president that called him Hitler. Show me one video of Harris saying Donald Trump is Hitler. He might have some Hitler tendencies. You know what I'm saying? He might be flirting along the perimeters. But the people that really said, like, hey, this dude wants to be a fascist. He wants his own dictatorship here in America was his own people, his own vice president. Holy shit, man. People are so weird.
Kamala Harris never got on a stage and said, oh, yeah, Trump's Hitler now. She just alluded to the fact and brought up the fact that his own former advisor said that. But I also want to make the point that I think that Cenk and the gentleman from Fox News is right when it comes to the economy. I think we were not great when it came to messaging on the economy. The benefit that Trump had is that he could put his slogan on a yard sign. He could say, Kamala Harris, Democrats, high prices, Trump and Vance, low prices. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, was tasked with explaining, okay, here's why inflation went up. Obviously, it's not Joe Biden and me. It's because of external factors. Here's why gas prices went up. Obviously, it's not me. It's external factors. If you're explaining, you're losing, as the famous saying goes.
Yeah.
So that was the uphill battle that we had. And I think there was kind of a perfect storm that led to Donald Trump being elected. And I think that I disagree with
But you're
Cenk
missing
often.
something else. You're missing something else,
Sure.
which is all the culture war stuff that we kept being assured by the left nobody cared about. No one cares about the trans debates, right? Nobody cares that biological men are wrecking women's sport. Nobody cares that they're invading women's personal spaces, and so on and so on. No one cares that kids are being put through mutilating surgery before puberty. And we kept being told, nobody cares about this. Leave them all alone. It's transphobic. I'm not transphobic. I wanted trans people, as I still do, to have fairness and equality in their lives exactly the same as all of us on this.
Holy shit. All right, once again, we're back to the trans conversation. Okay, let's just nip this in the butt. If you really care about trans people being safe and being in an environment to where they can still participate in the world, because that's just how citizens do, you need to have honest conversations on how these things need to work. When it comes to sports, it can't just be, you can't play sports. That's not an answer. You need to surround the conversation with people that actually have knowledge and information to make these decisions. That is not me. I don't know the ins and outs of biology and what, hormones and this. I really don't want to look that up. If I need to, I will. But shit, I already got a board of stuff that I need to read, okay? But you can't use trans people as a scapegoat of fear mongering. And that's what the Republican Party, that's what Trump did. He's not an ally to any trans or gay people. Don't get it twisted. He's using you guys as a scapegoat to say, hey, this is why your kids suck at sports. Not because they really suck. It's trans people. That's not benefiting trans people by voting for Trump. So, okay.
This panel. But when you keep telling people it is fair, on the one hand, Democrats said, we protect women's rights on abortion. On the other hand, we're absolutely fine for women's rights in sport to be traduced at this ridiculous altar of biological men.
Once again, where in Harris's policies did she say all trans people can dominate women's sports? I don't know either. And trust me, like I just said, I read the whole thing, okay, really slowly because I was taking notes. So once again, whatever you heard on TikTok by some weirdo, some crazy person that, wants trans people to just dominate the world, I'm sorry, that's not what the general public believes. And a lot of trans people actually understand that. So, once again, we're having this conversation that honest people are not trying to have. They're just doing this just for entertaining, just to get clicks and a reaction out of people.
Men who are now trans women competing against women and beating them. You can't be both. So the public went, this is, and you're shaking your head, but look, the New York Times did a report about that ad, which the Trump campaign did so successfully and repeatedly.
I saw it.
Kamala's for they, them, Trump's for you. They reckon it moved the needle by 2.5 points. It was the most successful and effective 30-second ad in modern political history. So people did care. And the Democrats were just too deluded, it seemed to me, because most of them, you must realize this issue of trans athletes in women's sport is wrong. You all know it's wrong. For some reason, you wouldn't get off that train. And that...
Holy shit, we're not on a train. No one is on a train. Republicans are forcing the conversation to be on that train. Once again, if Republicans never brought that up, Democrats would never bring that up. Pierce, do you not understand? Once again, Harris, Tim Walz didn't say, we want every trans person to just dominate every woman's sport. No, I think they're a little smarter than that. And even if that's what they really deep down inside wanted to happen, they didn't say that. So once again, Republicans keep controlling the narrative, keep controlling the conversation and forcing people to believe all Democrats just want every, trans person everywhere you go. Like it's some sort of like weird conspiracy. That's not how that works. Pierce.
Delusion was one of the reasons that you lost so badly, I believe.
But Piers, to Professor Lichtman's point, that ad in and of itself contained misinformation. The ad was saying, "Oh, Kamala Harris wants to pay for prisoners' transgender
She said
surgeries."
It. All right, she said it a few years ago, but she said it.
But wait, hold on. In the New York Times also reported that this took place under Donald Trump's presidency as well, because depriving a trans prisoner the right to get gender-affirming care is, Cenk, it's the law, it's the Constitution, is against the Constitution of the United States, preventing cruel and unusual punishment. Because if somebody is deemed medically necessary to receive care, no matter what that care is, and you ban it or say, no, you can't get it, that absolutely falls under cruel and unusual punishment. So Donald Trump did the same thing. And that's an example of the disinformation, or at least the lack of context that Trump's campaign
included. Do you accept that this
Cenk, I'm sorry, yes.
But do you accept the so-called cultural stuff that I would frame as a kind of very, very far left progressive woke stuff? That I've seen a lot of Democrats in the more center part of the party coming out now and publicly saying what I was saying for a long time. Apparently, Bill Clinton kept warning them internally. David Axelrod has come out and said, we've got to stop this. Joe Scarborough did a big monologue about it on Morning Joe. At some point, you've got to recognize that most average Americans just found all that stuff complete bullshit. And that's one of the reasons you lost. And you've got to move on from it. If you come back with another woke progressive platform in 4 years' time, you will be out of office potentially for 4 more, 8 more, maybe 12 more years. I promise you. Take it to the bank.
So, Pierce, I agree to a degree, but not in the way that you're framing it. I think that we do have to move on from a lot of the culture war stuff. I don't like the word woke, but I understand the context of you using it. I think that, yes, and to some degree we have to move on. But by moving on, we shouldn't throw people under the bus. We shouldn't say, oh, trans people are the reason why, or LGBTQ plus people are the reason why. That's not the reason why. It's just that the culture war stuff came off as very kind of gross to some Americans. They really didn't like it. So I agree to a degree, but not in the way that you're framing.
Okay, let's talk about race, because it's
okay. Holy shit, I can't take no more. Pierce, I have like a certain daily tolerance of bullshit, and like literally that just like damn near filled that glass. You know what I'm saying? So once again, we need real intellectuals to have this democratic, what the hell happened type of conversation. Okay? And unfortunately, when you start talking about wokeness and we can't adopt woke policies, what the fuck is that? What is a woke policy? Okay? No one who is in a position of power to create these laws and legislation are not talking about woke policy. So just shut up with that, okay? That's not a thing that's happening amongst Democrats, or at least that I see, okay? But once again, guys, hey, how you doing? If you guys disagree with anything that I said, or you do agree, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord link so we can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.